You're watching The Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
And just like that, the regular season is in the books. We'll look back at games against SMU and Houston, sit down with the chief of staff of Memphis basketball, and look ahead to the AAC tournament. It's a Penny Hardaway Show. Let's go.
The game is on.
The Penny Hardaway Show is presented by Cook's Pest Control. You don't have to live with pests. Call Cook's Pest Control and get a free quote today. Conway Services, the official HVAC partner of Tiger Athletics. Tennessee Lottery, turning dollars into dreams. Tiger Bookstore, the official merchandiser of Tiger Athletics. AutoZone, when you've got car trouble, you want help from number one. So if you've got a battery problem, head to AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone. And is supported by your Memphis area Toyota dealers.
A conference tournament means a second chance. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Woloshin.
And I'm Matt Field. Let's take a look back at a Texas two-step against SMU and Houston. The homecoming for Kendrick Davis, the Tigers' best player, returning to his old stomping grounds, SMU on Thursday. First bucket of the game. Who else? 3 from 3. And Davis is our outstanding performer of the week. A 23-point double-double as he puts this one on ice with another triple. Tigers go to Dallas and win it 81-62. The regular season finale against #1 Houston. Also senior day as 6 Tigers are honored before the game. Once again, Alex Lomax is our defensive player of the week. He breaks up this pass for the steal. Kendrick Davis recovers ahead to Lomax for the easy bucket. Tigers down 21-15. They trailed by 9 at halftime, but now just a 2-point game. Davis knew he was shooting this as soon as he got it. That's Desmond Bane range at the Forum. Bullseye. Forum explodes as Davis gives the Tigers their first lead of the game. Memphis went up by 5. Cougars immediately answer with an 8-0 run. In transition, Marcus Sasser splashes home a 3. Cougars up 59-56 with just over 4 minutes to play. Tigers now down 3 with just over 2 to play. Davis, closer, another bomb from a mile away. We're tied at 63. Final 20 seconds, off an offensive rebound. Davis, what else is there to say? Finishes at the rim. Game tied at 63 with 8.9 seconds left. Game high 26 for Davis. Kelvin Sampson doesn't call timeout. The Cannon all over Jamal Shed, who uses his arm to create some space and knock down the game winner at the buzzer. Without a doubt, one of the games of the year in college basketball. Tigers fall on a heartbreaker, 67-65.
So how much different is your mindset, your preparation, when it comes now to the postseason?
My mindset changes a little bit because I'm already intense going into the games. But going into the postseason, I kind of leave the regular season behind, except for the games that we played against these guys and what worked. And going into the postseason, I'm changing what we do offensively, a little tweak here or there, and defensively, we're pressing more.
Now, going into the conference tournament, you guys have that first round bye. Is that something that I imagine it's an advantage, but do you look at maybe trying to wean off some rust at all? What does that look like?
No, I'm very happy about that first round bye because I've been on the other side of that, trying to win 4 games in a row, 4 nights, and then you're playing the late game, early game, late game. So when you're a higher seed, you get to play the morning game, so you get to rest that entire day and then be ready for the next day. I did see when we were lower seeds that the times that you play are much worse. So it's so important for you to get that first round bye.
If you get to the championship game, 3 games, 3 days, got to save legs. How much pressing can you really do?
No, you can. You're still calculated with how you press. You don't ever stop being who you are because we turn people over to get easy baskets. So as many easy baskets as you can get, as many turnovers and opportunities that you can take away from them, you just have to do it. You're not tired when you're in the championship game. You're ready to play.
What kind of adjustments are you making going into the week? Most of the year, you're playing 2 games a week, a Wednesday, Thursday game, and then Saturday, Sunday game. If you go to a championship game, like you said, you're playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, back-to-back. What do you have to do to prepare for that?
Well, I mean, we probably will add more zone, some more zone to rest. And the zone really isn't a rest defense, but in the guys' minds, it's just a rest defense because you're not running all around. But you'll add some zone. You might add a box and one, where you just have one guy on the best player and then everybody else just in a zone. Just kind of mix it up to try to throw people off pace.
you have already had to play with distribution of minutes because of all the injuries. How big is that when you're playing 3 games in 3 days?
No, it's very important to have a deep bench. And I feel like we have our strength in our numbers so that when we need to sub, the guys coming off the bench can do just as good a job as the guys that started. We've shown that this year with the starters, being injured and then guys coming off the bench, next man up, and then taking over those responsibilities and playing well. So everyone has gotten experience this year of playing. So it'll be like we have 10 starters in the tournament.
Obviously, we'll wait and see on what happens with Keontae, but you have Alex back, you get Malco back. This is kind of the perfect time for that to get them a little tune-up going into postseason play, and then they should be able to hit the ground running once that tournament hits.
Absolutely. I'm glad that they're having these last 3 or 4 games to get their feet wet because Malcolm's was out 2.5 months. Alo was out a month, almost a month and a half. So for them to come back and just be given an ability to go out and play and get banged up and have to run and change directions, it gets them more confidence in what they need to do moving forward.
You're talking about that defense, that boxing one, and it gets me to thinking you are blessed with 2 guys that are perfect, I think, for that kind of a defense. Alo, who I just heard about a week ago, Wes Miller, the Cincinnati coach, just declared he is the best perimeter defender in the American. And then you got the other guy who's now coming into his own in Demarie Franklin. I don't think you could pick out 2 better guys to be the one chaser in a boxing one.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought about that when we were getting Demarie, that he could be the next guy. Because in the past I had Damian Ball, obviously
Right.
Lester Quinones. I've always had 2 or 3 guys that I could do that to the other team's best players. And having Demarie and Alo definitely helps a lot. And now you put Elijah in there as well. So, those 2 guys, especially Demarie and Alo, can get it done.
Look at potential matchups. Obviously, I think we all know you want Houston that championship game, but I imagine after that, you want to see Tulane for a 3rd time and maybe get back there?
Well, if we handle our business and they handle theirs, it's inevitable. We're going to meet in the semifinals. And I think we'll be ready for that game for sure.
That's the beauty of these conference tournaments. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, that's for sure, and you would get your shot at that. And, they haven't played quite as well as they had been playing, and you learn. I remember you saying you were going to go look at their tape with Wichita State because maybe there's some secrets that can be found. That's the beauty of conference tournaments.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of them not really our conference is better than everyone thinks. Like the nation is not giving us credit. Wichita State goes into Tulane, Temple goes into Houston. We lose at home to Tulane. So it's like, it's one of those deals. So for us going into conference, that anybody can get beaten on any given night. We'll never take it for granted. We'll always look at the game in front of us before we get to the next and just compete because it's really us versus us.
I'm not sure you'd say this is the most naturally gifted team you've had in your time here, but given your league duo and the experience that we've talked about all year, is this the most confident of a group you've been going into postseason play?
Absolutely. Obviously, it's not the most talented because we've had pros and 5 stars for the last couple of years before this year. But to me, it's the most complete team with the 2 best closers. And that's what makes us who we are.
There's a lot of aspects to this, too. You got to have a good operations guy when you're about to go to tournaments, like getting your plans. You got to leave early. Like, when do you leave for the conference tournament?
Yeah, we usually leave, if the games start on Thursday, we'll leave Tuesday or Wednesday to try to get down, get a couple practices or get a practice, get used to the climate, get used to being away from home, and then getting everyone's mindset ready to play the tournament because that's a business trip, not a vacation trip.
Dwight Boyd has been around Memphis basketball for decades, and now he has a title that's uniquely appropriate for him. We'll sit down with the Chief of Staff coming up next.
You're watching The Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
Welcome back to the Penny Hardaway Show. Dwight Boyd has worn a lot of different hats here at the U of M, player, M Club, and now Penny Hardaway trusts him as his Chief of Staff.
Dwight Boyd, Chief of Staff. That could mean a lot of different things. What do you do, and do you like this job? Because you've had many hats at this university.
I have. If you think about it, I've been here 5 years with Coach, and obviously I've seen it all. So for me, just giving an opportunity to check on schoolwork, to check on the dorm, to check on administration, to be sure they're doing good on and off the court. And so it's just roll up in one.
Is it fair to say you're a little like Murray Armstrong used to be?
You know, it's funny. I'm just like Mary Armstrong. I thought I'd never be saying that, bless his soul. But I tell you what, Mary Armstrong was really good to us, and actually, that's a good point. I can't say I'm the Mary Armstrong of men's basketball right now.
So it sounds like the core of your job is mentorship. Is that fair?
I would say that's fair. You know, obviously, coach wants the best for the kids on and off the court, and what better person is to have me, because actually I bleed blue, been around this city all my life, so I know who and how to get things done.
You were out of basketball for a while. After you became a player, you went and you worked for Pepsi-Cola for many, many years. What was that like being away, and how much does that affect your appreciation for what you do now?
I tell you, corporate America is tough because actually you don't have any time in terms of in the day. Basically you wake up in the morning, you're working all day long till you go to sleep, and you repeat that cycle over and over again. So what that does, that actually prepared me for what I'm doing now, because actually in basketball, you pretty much working the same kind of hours in terms of you might get a phone call late at night about something that's going on versus a kid need to get somewhere at night. So it's basically the same. It kind of groomed me for this job.
So when Penny says he wants to make you chief of staff, and that's the title, what runs through your mind?
Gratitude, simply because of the fact that he's seen what I've done over the past. And like I said before, man, when you've been around a person a long time, you kind of know exactly what he's expecting from the kids, and not only kids, but the staff members also. So actually we have our meetings and talk about the things that coach would love to have happen on the second floor, which he called the second floor. So hopefully everything is going good right now.
Let's go back to the 80s, because you played with some great players, Badford and Turner and all those guys.
Wow.
You had two different coaches.
Yes.
You had Dana Kirk,
yes,
and then you had Larry Finch,
yes,
who I think is really the godfather
no
of the whole school. So take us back to your decision to come to the University of Memphis.
For me, my mother never did see me play in high school. People like, wait, what? My mother worked at night. So she never had an opportunity to see me play high school basketball. So coming to Memphis, obviously our games 7:30, 8 o'clock, which gave her an opportunity to see me play. So it wasn't to me, I was coming to Memphis all the time.
So what were your first interactions and memories with Penny like? Was it watching him in high school, college? What was it?
Well, Coach is the kind of guy that he's historic in terms of Memphis basketball. We talk all the time about the old players that played here, and obviously some of the players that didn't play here but went on to have stellar careers and the things they've done. So for me and him, actually, it was good. I mean, because Coach and I actually really got close during his days at East. Because, obviously you couldn't get a gym for free or what have you, so he had to pay for the gym. And so for me, for having an opportunity to talk to him and saw how hard he worked, it was a no-brainer when he had the opportunity to come and coach here.
So you played for Larry and you played for Dana.
I did.
Penny played for Larry.
Yeah.
Do you see much of Larry or Dana in Penny Hardaway? I
think he has similarities of them both. He knows when to get tough on the guys, and he knows when to stay off the guys. I think in college basketball, you got to learn how to do that dynamic, and I think he's probably one of the best in the country doing that. Obviously, if you watch our games, you see he's never hollering at a kid. He's never trying to embarrass a kid on the floor. So I think that if you watch other coaches around the country, not taking anything from them, but that's just his demeanor. He's not going to purposely go out and try to embarrass a kid on the floor.
How do you put into words the passion you have for this program?
I really love what I'm doing. I tell you what, if you'd have told me 12 years ago, because obviously I've been with the school down going on 11 years, because I was on the administration side. And when Coach got the job, he gave me the opportunity to work from him on a basketball standpoint. So for me to be able to do this at this particular time of my life and my age is absolutely awesome.
Now, it's true, you're actually, by the records, a better free throw shooter than Anthony.
I don't have any records in terms of dealing with Coach. Obviously, he's the best player in my eyes to come through here. And actually for me to say, yeah, I do have that record, hey, more power to myself.
So when's the last time you guys played pickup together?
We don't. It's funny. We have this game which we play home and away. It's called a free throw shooting game. And actually, in 5 years, I think I might have won 4 times, and I think he's won over 1,000. So, so that go to show you.
But you're in the books. You were in the win column.
I'm in the books.
When I think about Dwight Boyd, I think about really one of the true all-time Tiger greats, better free throw shooter than you, Mr. Hardaway.
Okay.
But who came up with the name Chief of Staff for him?
I came up with that because Dwight has been a savior for me since I've been here. You know, he was in the administration at first, like tickets or, you know, the M Club.
M Club, yeah.
I pulled him from the M Club over to basketball because that's where his heart really is. You know, he bleeds blue. One of the greatest Tigers to play here, you know, hometown guy. And I gave him Chief of Staff because he really cares how this program works and how the school looks. And he's the best guy to go around to everyone and make sure everything is good. So that's why I gave him the title.
So what are some of your earliest memories with Dwight just in general?
Yeah, my earliest memories of going to the games at the Coliseum and seeing Dwight Boyd play. I became a fan of his as, you know, watching his game, and I fell in love with that team that he played on. And then later we started competing against each other in pickup basketball, and just watching those guys over the years on how they just approached the game and how good of a person he was on top of that.
And then the duties that you've assigned him here, as you said in the title, he does a lot of different things. What's the most important?
The most important is just caring about the guys, their well-beings, like off the court, checking on them, going to do room checks, going to class, calling the guys at study hall to make sure everything is good. Even though the assistant coaches do that, he goes above and beyond. His best quality is just being a good person and making sure the guys are acting accordingly. And if they need any help on or off the court, then he's there for them.
What's it like for you? This is a guy that you said you were a fan of and that you idolized, and now you're his boss, but I'm sure you view it as more you're working with him to make the program better. But what's that like for you? I imagine it's got to be pretty
Yeah,
cool.
That's more my brother than I am a boss ever, because it's just the history of the game. He loved this school so much. When we lose, man, it takes him a long time to get over. We win, he's the happiest guy, and he just ultimately wants the city of Memphis, the university, and these guys to win.
The best time of year, March, has arrived. We'll preview the AAC tournament after the break.
You're watching The Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control. Let's take a look at the AutoZone road ahead.
Coach, as you assess this American tournament, who are the teams in your minds that you really have to concentrate on?
All of them, because if you look at this season, with the exception of Tulsa, all these other teams, East Carolina's won a big game on the road, Wichita State's won big games on the road, Tulane is playing really well, Temple won at Houston, even though Battle has been kicked off the team, he might come back for the tournament. And I haven't even started talking about the UCFs and the Houston. So our tournament is going to be very interesting because every team is capable.
We talked earlier about Houston potentially in the championship game if you get that far, maybe a revenge game against Tulane. How do you keep the guys locked in on whoever you get in that first round? You guys have taken care of business against most of those teams this year, but making sure they get locked in on that first game before you start worrying about the rest of them.
Yeah, we don't have an opportunity to think about anything except for the game in front of us. And we always talk about 1-0. If you do 1-0, you never worry about the next game until you get to that game. So we will be locked in on whoever our opponent is in that second round.
That was tonight's AutoZone Road Ahead. AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination and official sponsor of Tiger Athletics. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
For NCAA tournament opportunities, it would be best if either Memphis or Houston won in Fort Worth. Back with a wrap in just a minute.
You're watching The Penny Hardaway Show, presented by Cook's Pest Control.
This is the best time of the year in college basketball. Next week, Kendrick Davis. We'll see you then.
The Penny Hardaway Show is presented by Cook's Pest Control. You don't have to live with pests. Call Cook's Pest Control and get a free quote today. Conway Services, the official HVAC partner of Tiger Athletics. Tennessee Lottery, turning dollars into dreams. Tiger Bookstore, the official merchandiser of Tiger Athletics. AutoZone, when you've got car trouble, you want help from #1. So if you've got a battery problem, head to AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone, and is supported by your Memphis area Toyota dealers. This copyrighted telecast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by the University of Memphis. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of the University of Memphis and Learfield.